Good morning, you guys, and happy Tuesday. It's time to talk travel, and I have a couple topics I wanted to cover today. I was driving my daughter into school this morning, and I was asking her about trips we'd taken. She's kind of my biggest travel buddy. Of all of my children, she's the one who's always like, I want to go, wherever it is. So I asked her this morning her favorite place to travel, and she told me she really liked Barcelona, which we just did, but I talked about that a little last week, and she said Nassau, Bahamas, but not the Nassau you guys know about. And I tend to agree with her on this. I really love it's. I have a friend who lives in Nassau who's on the side where the expats live. So essentially, when everybody else goes to Nassau, odds are they're around Atlantis and Paradise Island is what I used to call it, but it's Atlantis now. And so most of the tourists go there, and it's, to me, really overdone, very tchotchke, very touristy. And I'm not a huge fan of it. The water's beautiful, but I like, my girlfriend will come pick me up, and anybody really can do this. You can get in a cab and ask them to take you around to the beaches they go to. So my girlfriend lives on the flip side of the island, and it's stunning over there. It's a really quiet, peaceful beach. I wonder if I can pull up a picture. Let me see. I do have a picture. I did a Facebook Live from there one time. Let me see if I can pull up a picture to show you all. But I love that part of the island. Let me see. That part of the island. I am a water baby, so most of my favorite spots are going to be on the water. Aruba is my second favorite. Aruba, and again, it's more about the people. I do love the island. It's beautiful. Here, when I go to Aruba, okay, first the picture of Nassau, if you can see this. Let's see. Well, this is me working. Oop, let me go this way. Do you see that water back there? That's where my girlfriend lives. And talk about paradise. And it used to be called Paradise Island, so it totally makes sense, right? At any rate, that's where she is. And I was just talking about Aruba. I love the waters of Aruba. I love the weather. It's windy. It can be really hot, but the wind helps. I love the beaches there. But look at the people. I was down there for Carnival one year, and this will tell you about the people of Aruba, okay? The people of Aruba embrace you as their own. So I was down there with two girlfriends. I have a girlfriend who has a house down there, and she's not into crowds and what have you, and neither of my friends. It was Carnival, and I'm like, how can we miss Carnival? Got to get there for Carnival. So I asked my girlfriends, they didn't want to go. I did. I wasn't going to miss it. It was like, I think the 60th anniversary of Carnival in Aruba. And so a friend of ours lives down there. She worked at the breakfast place where we all went to get free Wi-Fi. Salt and Peppers, if you're ever down there, Salt and Peppers. If you're ever down in Aruba and you need free Wi-Fi. At any rate, so my friend Sharon, who I'll have to tag in this post, folded me into her family celebrations. They all go, they watch the parade and drink Prosecco all morning in the heat. They folded me right into their family, let me sit and watch. It's a very big deal. You're there all day. But as the parade people walk by, the more Prosecco I drank, the more I wanted to be part of the celebrations. This guy let me put on the headdress and dance a little right there. What a happy, happy island. And literally that's their theme, one happy island, which I kind of adore because I love it. Another place I really love to go, and again, it's partly the beautiful geography. It's Cabo. I am a sucker for Cabo. Look at this. This is from my last trip there. Okay, so this is morning sunrise. I usually stay at this place called Hacienda Encantada. That's morning sunrise at the top point there, the very highest point. I just love it. And this was sunset that same night. The pinks, the oranges, the skies, and you can't really see here but the Lover's Arch, the Golden Arch is there, and Lover's Beach. I love Cabo, but mostly I love Cabo for the people, especially people at Hacienda Encantada. They fold you into family. In fact, this is how nice they are. I just got back from there. I was there in December, and at this particular resort, they have the best towels. It's funny what you find on your travels that you really are like, oh gosh, I got to get that. I want to bring that back. They have the best towels. And I mentioned that, and I did not steal this towel from this resort. I don't steal the towels, but this towel was there, and oh my goodness, I emailed them afterwards and said, please tell me where you get your towels. This is a brand called La Josefina, made in Mexico. Best towel ever. Let me show you this. Look, it's the size of me. It's bigger than me. It's like 3 feet bigger than me and soft and warm. I mean, you know, nothing's worse than a towel that doesn't really do the job. But this towel, isn't this great? So every time I shower now, I think of my trip to Cabo and the great people there. Another thing, you know what, I'm supposed to be going in order. One of the things I wanted to talk about is souvenirs, great souvenirs you get from the places you go. And some of them come from the hotel, but I really love to pick up. I always pack just a carry-on. I don't pack a whole suitcase, so I can't fit a lot back. So I pick little things. Jewelry. Here, let me see if I can. Jewelry, and B, ornaments. So everywhere I go, I try and bring a souvenir back that's either one of those things. So in this case, ornaments. I did a lobster and Lighthouse trip with my daughter 2 years in a row now. And we always try and pick up an ornament from every stop. This is the Jupiter Lighthouse in Florida. Last year, we started in North Carolina and went all the way up to Portland, Maine. And this year we started in South Carolina and went all the way down to the Keys. And stopped at lighthouses on the way, ate lobster. Well, on this last trip, we really didn't eat much lobster. Try and eat seafood, but at any rate, so that's an easy thing to pick up that doesn't take up a lot of space. And I love it at Christmas because when you go to decorate a tree and you can walk through your travels of all the places you've been and all the ornaments. The other, again, I like collecting jewelry. This particular ring came from Cabo, and it's actually just part of a ring. There's another part that goes around it. And I bought it because I thought it looked like a wave, you know, like the other piece looks much bigger, but I don't know where that is. This particular ring is from Latvia, which I'm going to put it up in the camera a little bigger. Hold on. Figure out how to trick the system. Okay, there. I loved this ring because it's handmade. There's an artisan there who, we were in Latvia for a layover. This was, remember my trip that I took where we went from Atlanta to LA to Sweden because it was an $80 airfare. It was ridiculous, to Sweden. And then we went from Sweden to Latvia. It was a layover on our way to Paris. And then from Paris there. But I fell in love with this because of the story that they told. The artisan said they made the ring and the rock in there, it's a pebble from the Baltic Sea. Because over there, when they go to the beach, you know how we bring back seashells? Over there, they bring back pebbles from the Baltic Sea. And I loved the idea of people around the world, you know, across the world from me, doing something similar to I do, loving the ocean and bringing back a little piece of it as a souvenir. These earrings I'm wearing, they are from oyster shells. Aren't they neat? They're made from oyster shells. And I used to love to go oystering as a child. I bought these when we were up in Martha's Vineyard on our Lighthouse tour. But isn't that neat? Like, I love little jewelry things. Oh, and these earrings. These are probably the coolest to me. Can you see these? I bought these in Costa Rica, and they are little pieces of lava. Isn't that neat? From a volcano. So that's my thing. If you're going to go on a trip and you need a good souvenir, highly recommend jewelry. Why not? And if it's not jewelry, if you can't find something, then ornaments. So I think that's pretty cool. The last part of what I wanted to talk about, I talked about my favorite places to visit. Those are two of my favorite. Although I will tell you, as I age, I'm more of an explorer. I want to go this year. I really wanted to walk the Camino. I may or may not do that now because I feel like I just was inspired to hike to the top of Kilimanjaro. And now it's all I can think about. Now it's just all I want to do before my birthday this year in August. So worst trips. I promised we were going to talk about the worst trips we ever took. Can you guys remember the worst trips you ever took? I remember two. One as a really young child, and it had nothing to do with the place I was going. It had to do with how we were getting there. At the time, I come from a really large family, one of 10 children. So when we road tripped, we didn't fly. We drove, and I remember taking this road trip up to upstate New York, which is where my dad is from. Now remember, I'm from South Florida. So in a car, that's a really long way. And this is before seatbelts were mandatory. And literally my seat in the car was on the floorboard between my mom's legs. So that's a really long way to go. And that seat. And I also get car sick. So my worst part of this trip was literally the drive, getting up to upstate New York and all the windy roads and getting car sick. That, and another worst trip, I took a press trip of all things, to a certain city in Florida. And on press trips, quite often they schedule an itinerary for you. So you have to go to all the places they say. They had scheduled us like 4 museums in one day, which my children were like, really, Mom, 4? But they were cool museums, I gotta say. And we didn't spend long at each. We did go to from one to another. And as we were on our way to our dinner that night, we'd hit all 4 museums. But as we were on our way to dinner that night, we were stopped at a light and heard a loud pow. And I was like, that was a gunshot, wasn't it? And we looked to our left, and a woman scrambled from a car, ran into this fast food restaurant. Trying not to say the city or the things, but the point being, a child was shot in her car. And we called 911 right away because I thought she was running in to get away from the shooter, and the shooter was going to follow her into this fast food restaurant. That was not the case. She was running in to get help and then came back out with the manager. And we stayed on the line with the police, and then they used my testimony. So that was not a fun trip. It was sad. But it got me thinking about, when you're traveling, I wasn't in a bad section of the city. I wasn't doing something dangerous. We were on our way to a dinner at a restaurant we were told to go to. So that's important. I think as you travel, kind of keeping safety in mind. We weren't doing anything unsafe, but definitely there are places you go that, the first thing they asked me was, why were you in that section of town? As if it was bad. And it's a college town, and we were right across the street from their main stadium. This shouldn't have been a dangerous section, but I could see where, you took a left turn or a right turn and it could lead to trouble. And so at any rate, as you travel, I wonder, where are the worst places you've been? Best places you've been, worst places you've been. And also, what do you do to stay safe? Because yes, you should ask around. You should definitely go to the concierge in advance and say, what are the places I should avoid? I know when I was in Paris, I was stunned. Every person there was saying, there are pickpockets. And it's serious. So if you have anything on you, put it in a zipped pocket. Don't just put it in your back pocket. Put it in a zip pocket. So definitely I would say, as you travel, which I love to do a little bit of research, legwork before you go on what the safety tips are, places to avoid. And if you do crazy things like zip lining over jaguars, which I've done before in Riviera Maya, Mexico, which is amazing, but stop long enough to ask, do you have a safety certificate for this? How are you trained? What do I need to know? So that's my advice on that. And then last, the souvenirs to collect. Those are best place, worst place. And what souvenirs do you collect? Do you bring back like refrigerator magnets? That's fine, but I think ornaments are awesome because they take you back on that trip, and jewelry. What woman doesn't like jewelry? So anyways, that is Time to Talk Travel this week. Let me know what you want me to talk about next week. And you guys have a great day.